We are coming up on Charlie Watts' birthday. Charlie Watts, the drummer in the Rolling Stones. You know, as we all know, Charlie passed last summer, and I've been trying to comprehend why it was so significant to me when Charlie passed. And it took a long time for me to really come to grips with it. But what I finally realized is that I have never lived in a world that did not contain the Rolling Stones and Charlie Watts. As long as I've been conscious, there have always been the Rolling Stones, and they've always been significant. The Rolling Stones and Charlie Watts made a massive effect on the world. Any musician, any artist, any drummer, really any person has to be able to acknowledge the positive impact that Charlie Watts and the Rolling Stones had on their lives. So one of the great things about getting to know Charlie, even just a little bit, was that every time I met him, Charlie would always do something that would produce an amazing Charlie Watts story. So one of my favorites is in about 2005 when he visited my shop. Before he got there, his tech called me and told me that Charlie had a favorite drum key. It was the only one he would use. And he only had one of them, and his tech wanted to have another one for backup in case he ever lost it. So what he did is he literally took Charlie's key and stuck it in a fax machine and faxed me an image of that particular key so I could be on the lookout for it. So when they get there, they're milling around the store and hanging out, and at one point, I'm talking to Mike Cormier, that was Charlie's tech, and I'm telling him that, I haven't found that key for you yet, but I know I can find one. And Charlie was just right over there, and Charlie overheard that, and he said, what are you guys talking about? And then his tech explained to him, well, Charlie, you only have that one key. It's the only one you ever use, and I'm just trying to get another one, get a backup. And Charlie just kind of looks at him, kind of puzzled and maybe a little bit irritated, and he simply goes, but I already have one. I mean, in a world where touring bands on the level of the Rolling Stones tour with, a drummer tours with a triplicate of every piece, every stand, cymbal, everything in his entire drum kit. And Charlie Watts, in the biggest band in the world, cannot even fathom the idea of having two drum keys. I mean, maybe that'll give you a little bit of an idea of the kind of guy Charlie was. Fantastic. Anyway, that led me to the idea for acknowledging everything that Charlie Watts has done for us. Now, I don't know if you have noticed, but almost since the beginning of the Rolling Stones, anytime you see Charlie Watts playing, he's got his tuning key sitting up there on the tension rod of his rack tom. Look at any picture of him playing live and you'll see it right there. So what I would like to do is to invite every drummer that whenever you play, take your tuning key and put it up there on your rack tom. That way, when somebody walks into the club you're playing, into the session you're playing, in the church, into the stadium, wherever it is, they see your key up there and they will know that you appreciate what Charlie Watts did for all of us. So I'm inviting you to do that, take a picture or video of you at your drums with your tuning key there, post it with the hashtag, thanks Charlie, and that's all you gotta do.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. So that's all I've got for today. I'm looking forward to seeing your posts. Thank you, and thanks, Charlie.